Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, Honorable Chairperson of UPA, Srimati Sonia Gandhi ji, Honorable Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Shri Manish Tiwari ji, Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Shri Bimal Julka, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Press Information Bureau, it is an honor and privilege to welcome the Honorable Prime Minister and Honorable Chairperson UPA on the momentous occasion of the inauguration of the National Media Centre. I'm grateful to the Honorable Prime Minister and Chairperson UPA for making time in their busy schedule to grace this occasion. We are privileged to have among us Honorable Ministers Shri Ghulam Nabi Azad, Shri Salman Khurshid, Ms. Giraja Vyas, Ministers of State Shri V. Niran Swami, Shri Rajiv Shukla and Srimati Deepa Das Munshi. I extend a very warm welcome to them. I welcome the Honorable Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Shri Manish Tiwari ji, whose guidance and leadership has been critical for the completion of this project and success of this function. I welcome Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and thank him for his unstinting support and encouragement in our endeavors. A special welcome to the heads of media organizations and senior editors. In particular, I welcome the editors of the regional media who have traveled from various states of the country. Your presence here has enhanced the dignity of the function. I also welcome former secretaries of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting and senior officers of the Government of India. We are happy to have among us former principal information officers of the PIB. A heartfelt welcome to them. The National Media Centre has been conceptualized as a communication hub for the Government of India and the media. It will have offices of the PIB as well as facilities for the media. These are backed by state-of-the-art infrastructure and communication technology. The building has a press conference hall, a media workroom, and video conferencing facilities. This year also marks the 75th anniversary of the Press Information Bureau as the Government of India's information and communication organization. The role of the PIB has expanded over the years to meet the information needs of the government in the context of the print, electronic, and digital media. The PIB also conducts public information campaigns in rural areas as part of its media outreach program. The National Media Centre heralds a new phase in the evolution of PIB. We hope the facilities created here will enhance the communication effort of the government. I take this opportunity to express my gratitude to all the agencies and individuals involved in making the National Media Centre a reality. This has truly been a team effort, with every member of the team often working beyond the call of duty. With these words, I welcome you all once again to the function. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Neelam Kapoor. I'd now like to invite the Honorable Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Shri Manish Tiwari, to address the gathering.
Honorable Chairperson of the United Progressive Alliance, Srimati Sonia Gandhi ji, Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Shri Bimal Julka, Principal Director General of the Press Information Bureau, Srimati Neelam Kapoor, my honorable ministerial colleagues, esteemed ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Chairperson of the UPA for consenting to inaugurate the National Media Centre. 21 years after it was first conceptualized during the 8th five-year plan, the National Media Centre is finally ready to make its debut among the institutions that underpin our democratic edifice. I would like to congratulate all those who persevered to translate this vision into a reality. While we have endeavored to create a space, we hope thought leaders, scholars, media professionals, and people in public affairs would invigorate it into a vibrant institution that reinforces the core values of the idea of India. We live in an era of an information overload. The media landscape has transformed exponentially over the past 2 decades. The transformation has brought its own set of challenges to the media industry. India today mirrors the world in global cross-media consumption patterns. A very unfortunate collateral of this epoch-making change is the print industry globally. It is distressing to learn that iconic newspapers and magazines around the world are ceasing to print. However, India seems to have bucked the trend. The Indian newspaper market will be the only one to grow at a double-digit compound annual growth rate of 10% and would emerge as the world's 6th largest newspaper market by 2017, as per industry reports on media and entertainment. The regional and vernacular print sector is growing on the back of rising literacy and low print media penetration, as well as heightened interest of advertisers wanting to leverage these new markets. According to industry sources, print has a combined market penetration of a ballpark of about 14% roughly. Therefore, the print industry has the potential to expand its footprint and readership across the national canvas. This sector would thus be able to weather the shifting sands of technology, at least in the Indian context. The Indian broadcasting sector has grown from 1 channel in 1991 to 852 at the last count. After a statutory rationalization, the number now stands at about 795 odd channels. While this has brought about plurality, it has resulted in market fragmentation also. There are about 15.4 crore television households in India. Unfortunately, the news and current affairs genre makes up only 7% of the total television viewership. The remaining 93% of this universe is occupied by general entertainment channels, despite there being 395 odd news and current affairs channels in the country. This generates hope that there is an exponential potential for growth, provided news broadcasters and multi-system operators are prepared to reimagine their content and carriage paradigms respectively. In both the print and television genres, the revenue model unfortunately remains heavily dependent on advertising. To give consumers the benefit of better quality of service and correct the skewed revenue models in the broadcasting sector, government launched a massive digitization exercise in 2012, with 10 million set-top boxes seeded in phase 1, another 20 million in phase 2, and yet another 80 million scheduled for phase 3 and phase 4 by the end of 2014. No one in the broadcasting sector can really say that bottom lines and balance sheets in August 2013 are not looking better than in October 2012. The MSME sector must also endeavor to leverage this unique business opportunity and convert it into an India digitization story, even in manufacturing terms. For the news broadcasting industry, the advertisement cap requires the migration path synchronous with the rollout of digitization. I hope the TRAI would give its considered reconsideration to this issue. The new frontier is, of course, digital. Eric Schmidt and Jared Cohen, in their seminal treatise, made some prescient observations which are paraphrased as follows. The internet is the largest experiment involving anarchy in history, and it has succeeded. The last 4 are my words. It represents the largest ungoverned space on planet Earth. Never before in the history have so many people from so many places had so much power on their fingertips. Every 2 days, more digital content is created than from the dawn of civilization until 2003. What is evolving is a tale of 2 civilizations, one physical that has evolved over the millennia and one virtual that is still very much in formation. The new media rides on the back of this World Wide Web. In India alone, in India alone, with 86.7 crore mobile phones, 12.4 crore internet users and expected to grow to 37 crores by 2017, 8 crore people on Facebook, 1.8 crore on Twitter, and expanding exponentially. This is truly the medium of the future. The government has recently taken a decision to create a new media wing in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting to have an institutional presence in this virtual civilization. Another medium that till a decade back was considered a casualty of the tectonic technological shifts, but now stands poised on the threshold of a new wave, is radio. High mobile penetration and cheap call rates in our country has brought this renaissance into replay. The Union Cabinet has approved the ascending e-auction of 839 new FM radio channels across 294 cities in the country. Yet another sector which has just completed a centenary of existence is films. This industry has grown but still has tremendous potential. As per an industry estimate, about 14 million Indians go to movies every day. As per another report, the film industry is valued at about 112.4 billion Indian rupees and is expected to grow to about 193 billion Indian rupees by 2017, a compound annual growth rate of about 11.5%. The regional film industry is a steady contributor to this growth process. As we speak, a committee under Chief Justice retired Shri Mukul Mudgil is winding down its remit to overhaul the archaic Cinematographic Act of 1952. Another task force under the leadership of Shri Sam Petroda is close to finalizing their recommendations on a comprehensive restructuring of Prasar Bharati. Yet another group of eminent persons is reimagining the entire universe of government communications. While the UPA government has more than walked the extra mile to create an enabling environment, as evidenced by the fact that industry reports indicate that the media sector has grown by a compound annual growth rate of over 9% between 2007 and 2012, and is projected to grow at about 15% between 2012 and 2017. There are, however, some paradoxes that all stakeholders in this sector must try and collectively resolve to find the elusive golden mean. The first is the paradox of the short fuse. There have been an increase in information dissemination mechanisms, qua an increased intolerance to hear the other's point of view. The paradox of flawed revenue models, qua questionable revenue generation practices. The paradox of TRPs, qua the truth. Media trials, qua a fair judicial trial guaranteed by Article 21 of the Constitution. Anonymity masquerading as privacy in the new media space, the spectre of the hidden people. Non-emergence of global rules of engagement in the virtual civilization. Last mile neutrality among carriage providers so that content providers get a level playing field and are able to reap the benefit of convergence. And finally, of course, self-regulation, qua a statutory remit. The UPA government's media philosophy has been an essay in persuasion and not an essay in regulation. While appreciating the role that various mediums of the media have played over the years as we try and catalyze the growth ambience in this sector, it is also my responsibility to flag the aberrations and gaps and see how they can be best surmounted with the cooperation of all concerned to ensure that the discourse remains constructive. May I once again thank all of you, ladies and gentlemen, for honoring us with your presence here today morning. And I apologize if some people had to wait. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Srimati Sonia Gandhi, Chairperson UPA, to please address the gathering.
Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, Shri Manish Tiwari, Shri Bimal Julka, distinguished guests, friends. It is a pleasure to be here at the dedication of the new National Press Center. In any society undergoing dramatic and rapid transformation, there is constant need to renew and rebuild. This facility represents that evolution. I hope very much that it will become an effective nerve center, an adda, and an information bridge between the government, the media, and the people. The modern world has spawned new media and channels of communication, many of which, I must confess, people of my generation find it difficult in grasping. At least I do. The old familiar habit of holding a fresh daily newspaper with its crinkling sound first thing in the morning is now being overtaken by the onrush of colorful and vivid television images or the urgent and terse text of digital communication. And organized media, such as newspapers, magazines, and television channels, are now being joined by independent and unregulated sources of news, information, and opinion, which are beginning to have a larger and larger impact as time passes. This facility must meet up to the challenge that is posed by these new emerging channels and technologies, because if not today, then tomorrow, they are certainly going to have a larger role in our society. Yet, amidst this churn, one thing does remain constant: the need to portray information, news, and analysis truthfully, objectively, and speedily. Not too long ago, newspaper readers and radio listeners may have been a relative minority in our country, no longer so. Almost everyone now has the ability to tune into one form of news media or another. The media, therefore, has a tremendous, almost larger-than-life impact on our lives. This imposes great responsibility. Our media has evolved over the years into a vibrant and mature institution that cherishes its freedom and independence and exercises it with a sense of commendable responsibility, at least most of the time. Its sheer diversity ensures that, on balance, it functions to benefit the institutions of democracy and the democratic foundations of our society. This is no mean achievement, considering how contentious and sharp is the public debate on so many issues. Obviously, there has to be space in the public debate for conflicting and opposing points of view. And the Indian media certainly cannot be faulted for not providing this in abundance. Perhaps at times the language and dignity of media discussion can be found wanting. Sometimes, too, I have to confess that the media makes the political establishment uncomfortable. Perhaps this is because we are not always able to put forward our point of view more effectively. Today, we should remember that the need to communicate and inform is as much the responsibility of the government. True, media and government often disagree. The editorial columns of newspapers and voices on primetime news provide ample evidence of this. But I venture to say that this can be healthy, and there need not be any intrinsic antagonism between the two. We welcome the watchdog role of the media and well-founded and well-intentioned criticism of our policies and programs. We recognize that there could be shortcomings that need to be highlighted. At the same time, the government and the media have a shared interest in disseminating programs, policies, decisions, and information. This is where an institution such as the National Press Center assumes importance. I hope that it will represent a partnership in which both sides will be able to discharge their designated responsibility. And I want to be quite clear. We do not favor propaganda or publicity campaign simply in order to score points for the government. But the people have a right to know their legal and other entitlements. They have a right to information, and they have a right to be able to make informed decisions. Only an aware and conscious citizenry can be expected to make the system work well and hold governments and political parties to account. In conclusion, let us remember that this beautiful building we are inaugurating today is not just brick and mortar. It is up to you, media professionals, officials of the information and broadcasting ministries, and others who will inhabit it, to infuse life into it by making it an instrument to serve the people and empower them. I wish you all well in this endeavor. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. I'd now like to request the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh, to please address the gathering.
Chairperson of the UPA, respected Sonia ji, Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Shri Manish Tiwari ji, other cabinet and ministerial colleagues, Justice Kotshu, Shri Bimal Chulka, distinguished representatives of the media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to be here today on an occasion that represents a milestone in public engagement. The inauguration of the National Media Center is not only about unveiling New Delhi's latest landmark. This center also showcases our ability to keep pace with similar state-of-the-art facilities across the world. It symbolizes the vibrant mood of the existing media landscape in our country. As a communication hub and a single window facility, I am sure it will fulfill the needs and requirements of our media fraternity, many of whom are present here today. Dear friends, the exponential growth in India's media sector began during the decade of the 90s. The media, not coincidentally, were among the principal beneficiaries of the wave of economic reforms that were introduced in the country during that period. Growing economic activity created the need for better and more intensive communication, which itself had a commercial aspect to it. A virtuous cycle came about in which the increased reach of media, both print and electronic, opened up ever newer markets which benefited producers and consumers alike. In fact, I would like to think that the phenomenon of India as a world power in cricket has something to do with the fact that our electronic media are able to create and unite a huge block of consumers, reaching whom is the dream of many marketing professionals. Ladies and gentlemen, the story of reform and liberalization in the media sector, which is a continuing one, is obviously a success story. The size of the media industry alone demonstrates that very amply. But the media are not merely a mirror of business activity. They are a reflection of the entire society at large. Economic reforms and liberalization over the last 2 decades and more have wrought great societal change in our country. Our media have reflected this process and also been affected by the associated changes. I would even say that the pace of these changes has been so rapid that the documentation of its impact on the media has been somewhat inadequate. Technological advancements like the internet, the telecom revolution, low-cost broadcasting, social media, and cheaper publishing facilities that exist today were inconceivable 2 decades ago. Ladies and gentlemen, change inevitably brings challenge in its way. Those of you who are the practitioners of the media industry have a very special responsibility to assess, tackle, and overcome the challenges that 2 decades of socio-economic change have brought about. In a vibrant democracy such as ours, which revels in free inquiry and quest for answers, this is a significant calling. But there is need for caution while executing this responsibility. A spirit of inquiry must not morph into a campaign of calumny. A witch hunt is no substitute for investigative journalism, and personal prejudices must not replace the public good. At the end of the day, credibility is the media's currency and is integral to its contract with the reader or viewer. There is also the question of a certain responsibility for social harmony and public order. I emphasize this particularly in the light of social media revolution, which is rendering irrelevant the lines between a connected citizen and professional journalist. A mature and wise handling of this phenomenon is essential if we are to avoid the tragedy last year that befell many innocent souls who became victims of an online propaganda campaign and were then driven across the country to save their lives in their home states. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a reality that journalism cannot be divorced from the business of which it is a part. The responsibility of a media organization are not limited to the viewers and readers alone. The companies also have an obligation to their investors and shareholders. The tussle between bottom lines and headlines is a fact of life for them. But this should not result in a situation where the media organizations lose sight of their primary directive, which is to hold up a mirror to society and help provide a corrective. The media and civil society are an essential part of democracy and nation building. Now that we are at a decisive stage in taking our rightful place in the Committee of Nations, I am confident that they will not be found wanting in this collective effort to consolidate India as a plural, inclusive, and progressive society. I would also like to take this opportunity to reiterate the commitment of the UPA government in fostering a free, pluralistic, and independent media. Our initiatives aim to bridge the information divide and to provide our citizens knowledge and information so as to equip them to respond to social, economic, and technological challenges. Our communication architecture is aimed at empowering our people with quality information. Through the innovative use of social media, I am confident that our government will address and strengthen the communication needs of an aspirational India and connect with our younger generation. Ladies and gentlemen, the National Media Center is just the latest step in addressing the diverse communication needs of our country in the future. I congratulate the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting on this achievement and urge it to remain at the cutting edge of media innovation. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. And finally, to propose a vote of thanks, I invite Mr. Bimal Julka, Secretary in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting.
Honorable Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, Honorable UPA Chairperson, Shrimati Sonia Gandhi ji, Honorable Manish Tiwari ji, Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Honorable Ministers, Cabinet Ministers and other ministers who are present here, Honorable MPs and our valued invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. We are extremely privileged and grateful to Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh ji for gracing this occasion. Sir, we are extremely grateful to you for inspiring and guiding us. We assure you that the National Media Center would cater to the needs of the media fraternity. I take this opportunity to extend special vote of thanks to UPA Chairperson Shrimati Sonia Gandhi ji for gracing this occasion and sharing her views with us. A special vote of thanks to Honorable Shri Manish Tiwari ji, Minister for Information and Broadcasting, who has indeed been a great spirit and guiding force for all the officers in the ministry. Sir, your vision and inputs have indeed helped us and enabled us in completing this project, and we would continue to seek your valued support and guidance in future also. I express my deep sense of appreciation to honorable group of ministers, senior cabinet members, honorable MPs for joining us at the inauguration of National Media Center and sparing their valuable time. I also take this opportunity to thank our Cabinet Secretary, Shri Ajit Seth, and senior officers for their timely guidance and support in discharging our responsibilities. I take this opportunity to express our sincere thanks to heads of media organization, senior editors of media for gracing this occasion and being with us this morning. I would take this opportunity to also thank the members in the Finance Ministry and the Planning Commission for facilitating the EFC memo for the project. On behalf of Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, I extend vote of thanks to all dignitaries, colleagues, our most valued guests from the media who have taken precious time out of their busy schedule and grace this occasion. Last but not the least, I would like to extend heartiest compliments to Shrimati Neelam Kapoor, Principal DG, and her entire TIV team for relentless efforts made by them in establishing this media center. I indeed thank you all for being with us on this occasion. It's been a great pleasure for us. Thank you. Jai Hind.